Hey, welcome back. Or if you are new here, my name is Delian. This is the channel where we talk about becoming the main character of our lives by getting more awareness, having more self acceptance, and also developing more agency and authorship of our own lives. And doing that by exploring lots of different things that I found particularly useful. And today I'm going to talk about the Enneagram and the overlap between your security number and your approach to style. So, why overlap these two things? To me, style is something that we do every single day. Whether you quote unquote care about it or not, style is something that you wear. It's simply the story that you share based on your appearance and what you choose to do with that. Not a right or wrong, it's just a thing that we happen to have as human beings. And we're storytelling creatures. We get to tell ourselves a story. We also can have some impact and agency over what story we share with others. That's all style is. That's my approach to style. And so the Enneagram, if you don't know anything about the Enneagram, I have done a video already about, and just an overview of the Enneagram, also giving some character examples. Currently, where I stand on what the Enneagram is, this is still there still needs to be some more research that's done on this, but I believe that the Enneagram is actually showcasing the 9 ways in which we view ourselves in the world. There's some hypotheses out there about it being an actual neurological wiring that we have. And again, to me, this is not a way to be able to say like, oh, I'm a 4, one of the types, therefore I get to behave this way. And I'm stuck in this neurological way of seeing myself and seeing the world. No, 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 no. All these systems are doing, Enneagram, astrology, what they're here to do is to show us how we work and where we are. And then as we develop more awareness, we can then see the potential disparity between where we are and where we want to go. And to me in particular, the Enneagram does such a great job of being able to say, okay, and here's the clearest path to get from here to where you want to go. And then we develop agency by continuing to take steps in that direction. To me, that's what the best use of the Enneagram is. This is why I like thinking about it as neurological pathways, because we know that we have agency over that, even if we do have significant propensities, right? So that's my approach to the Enneagram. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Obviously, I believe there's still so much to be learned about the Enneagram and how it works. So I think that's really exciting. All right. So if in fact we have these one of 9 ways in which we view ourselves and see the world, then there's probably 9 ways in which we could approach style. Now, one of the interesting things about the Enneagram is that your type, your number, however you want to call it, there is another number that we grab some tools at when we're feeling secure. There's also tools that we grab from a different number when we're feeling stressed. I'm going to talk today about that security move and how we can utilize that in our style and possibly help us move more into that sense of security. I do like to share that I think that there is a high and low way we can approach both our stress and security numbers. I think that I'm not going to get into the high and low functionings of the security number, but I do think that there is a way to go towards your security number that's not healthy, or not productive. Maybe that's a better word, towards experiencing a quote unquote good life, balanced life. So what else do I want to say about this? I think that's good. So I'm going to go through each of the numbers. And oh, you can see little puppy over here. She's sleeping. Look at her. She's so sweet. If you hear any snoring, that's coming from puppy. All right, let's just dive right in. Let's start with Enneagram 1s. Enneagram 1s are motivated, the way they see themselves, the way they see the world, the way that they have adapted to the world is to have the story, the narrative, that there is something about them that should be pure, good, moral. They're highly principled. There can be a controlling of themselves and their inner world. I really like this idea that for the body triad, so that's 8, 9s, and 1s, their main functioning is agency, right? And for 1s, they're directing that agency inward. The energy is going towards how they can have control over their inner world. And then from there, also how they can improve the world around them, a lot of the time through systems. So 1s, when they go to security, the number that they grab some tools from is Enneagram 7. Let's talk about 7s. 7s are motivated by wanting to have opportunity so that they never have to feel stuck. They are thinking about how they can make sure that they stay free, how they can not be trapped in any way. With that comes some behaviors that can come with behaviors like adventuring, escaping, those sorts of things. But they tend to be optimist or very buoyant. They want to see the goodness of life and themselves, and they want to experience the goodness of life. They're the kind of people that when they walk into a room, they know where the exits are just in case, right? But they also know how to they tend to know how to bring a lot of like energy to make things feel fun, right? So imagine Enneagram 1. And if you haven't already, go check out the style video I did of each of the Enneagram types and how they might approach style. But really briefly, Enneagram 1s, I believe, would likely approach style through that lens of being moral, proper, appropriate. I do think that they tend to bring some power, some sense of presence. They are part of the body triad. There are some instincts that happen here, and being grounded, capable. I think that 1s really want to look competent at what they are wanting to accomplish. So those are sorts of things that I think would show up in how an Enneagram 1 approaches their style. But if they move into security, some of those 7 qualities, we're going to start seeing things like, what's it like to have fun, right? What's fun for you? How could you release some control, right? What's something that sparks your interest, right? What's something that, you can enjoy your style versus just being quote unquote proper, good, and right. Again, not that there's anything wrong with those things, but when it comes to style, this might be a way where you can move as an Enneagram 1 into feeling a bit more secure, bringing in some more playfulness, bringing in some, again, I think fun, adventurous type of qualities to your style. I think a brilliant example of somebody who has done this is Brené Brown. She has said that she is an Enneagram 1, so I'm not talking about a character here. However, she does share that she's an Enneagram 1. If you go back and look at her first TED Talk and see what she's wearing there, versus go look at the most recent episode that she just did with Adam Grant, or any of the ones that she's done in more recent history, and see what she's wearing in those. And you can see how she went from, this is what a person in my position is supposed to look like and how they're supposed to dress, to she just looks like she's having a great time. She's like, this is me. This is what I like. I'm going to wear what I like. And there's a little bit of like values, because I think 1s will dress according to their values. and also dressing in a way where it's like, and I'm going to express my values in this super fun and interesting, exciting way. So that's something that I think would be really fun for ones to be able to grab some of those security elements of Enneagram 7 into their style. Okay, Enneagram 2s. Enneagram 2s, I think, and I've had this affirmed by several Enneagram 2s, so thank you so much for all of your comments. But Enneagram 2s, I think, are very adept at being able to dress in a way that's going to create an environment, like create an impact, a story of saying, I'm dependable, I will take care of you. There's like, I am somebody who's trustworthy, likable. And I don't know if this is always conscious. I just think that because the Enneagram shares that narrative through which we live, it happens automatically. And so the other part of 2s, I will say, and this is just like a little tiny spot where most 2s I know also tend to dress with like a little bit of edge or strength or want to bring a little toughness into their style. At least this is the case for Enneagram 2s that are female presenting. If you are male presenting Enneagram 2, let me know in the comments if that is accurate for you as well. But I think that female 2s often do get a lot of access, at least the ones I know, to their Enneagram 8, which is their stress move, which would bring a little bit of this kind of like, let me make sure that I armor up a little bit in my style. But Enneagram 2s, when they go to security, they go to Enneagram 4. Now 2s are very outward focused. So this is the beginning of what's known as the heart triad. I like calling it the bonding triad right now. I just think that that's more accurate. But the idea that this is the triad, 2, 3s, and 4s that are very aware of how to create connection with people. It's a social wiring, right? And 2s are taking all of that ability to create bonding with people around the outside world. And so their energy is going outward. And because of that, there can be a sense of losing oneself or not knowing what feels authentic and real for you in your style. And if you go to and grab some of that security energy at Enneagram 4s, which are all about being authentic, they are taking all of that bonding energy and it's going inside of them. Like, how can I connect to myself? How can I understand all of the inner workings of me and be able to express that in the most authentic way I can? 2s going to security at 4 with style are going to be able to say, okay, who do I want to feel about me? Like, it's going to be a more inward focus. And I will say this, because we're talking about, how do I want to say this? I want to say the word growth in this particular video. We're talking about growing. We're talking about expanding beyond perhaps the more narrow way in which we tend to view ourselves in life, which is what can happen with the Enneagram or any of these systems, right? It tells us how we operate. And what we want to do is to be able to choose more versus just reacting based on this wiring. And so when I say, try this out, I am not saying that it won't be uncomfortable. And I'm also not saying like, go 100% in. Like, my theory is that we get the most productive outcomes when we take it slow, little steps. And this is why it's really fun to bring it into style. Don't feel like you have to change your whole style tomorrow. Instead, just start by asking yourself the question, how do I want to feel about myself today? I know I just said like, just try it. And I think 2s are going to be like, what are you talking about? But like, really, what is it like for you to feel and be in your authentic self and to bring that into your style? A character example I will give is, this is a fictional character, but Danielle from Ever After, I think is a fun example. This is a Cinderella retelling that has Drew Barrymore in it from the 90s. And I think that she's a really great example of an Enneagram 2, especially female Enneagram 2, because they showcase, and I think Drew Barrymore has shared that she's a 2. But 2s can be very willful. They are very stubborn. There's a lot of like, I know the way and I can do this kind of energy that 2s have that I don't think gets talked about enough. And so I'm bringing that up as one of the reasons I think this is such a great example of an Enneagram 2 representation. But in that, the way she's dressed at the beginning is entirely based on how to take care of everyone around her. That's what it's all about. That's the only way she's dressed. And then the first time we see her get dressed in an elevated way, she has to dress up as a nobleman in order to take care of somebody. And then by the end, and she does this several times, she's not yet being her authentic self yet. She is having to quote unquote dress the part in order to have these certain experiences without giving it all away. And at the end, she gets to dress in her best colors, her power. It is not at all about how other people think about her. It is about her being herself, full stop. And I think that's a really fun thing for 2s to be able to get from that Enneagram 4 security move in style. Yeah. Okay, let's go to Enneagram 3s. I love Enneagram 3s for this. So Enneagram 3s are motivated by getting the attention, affection, and connection from people around them. It doesn't have to be all people, right? But certain people that they want to have that connection, affection with, they feel like the way to get that is to be successful. What that success looks like, what that is different from 3 to 3. This is why we don't type people based on behavior alone, because we don't know the motivation. The Enneagram is all about that story we tell ourselves, and the only person who knows the story that they're telling themselves is that person, right? So Enneagram 3s, they want to gain that connection and affection by becoming successful. Or at least that's what they believe will get them that connection and affection. And so they know how to dress based on looking like they're successful. I mean, I'm thinking of, and I'll specifically say healthier 3s. Although I think unhealthier 3s can do this, but sometimes they can like lie to themselves and say that they're dressing for success when they're actually not. That's a different thing. We'll talk about that when we go into the stress move, guys. So Enneagram 3s, dressing for success is something that I think is really natural for them. It's like breathing to them. Just like 2s, I think are really good at like dressing in a way that makes people feel comfortable or safe, or like that they're a dependable person who can take care of their needs. 3s, I think, know how to dress in a way that's very impressive of saying, I'm successful in this area. And when they go to security, they pick up some traits at Enneagram 6. What is Enneagram 6 about? Enneagram 6s are a bit more analytical. They're thinking through things, but they're also very focused on community, on building a group that is supportive. There's a sense of we all rise together, we're all connected. And, it's not just about a 6 isn't like, I want to win. They're like, no, we want to win, right? Like that's going to be more of a 6 quality, especially as a 3, grabbing some of those 6 qualities. And so I'm going to give a real life example of somebody who I think does this really, really well. Because I think 3s, when they grab some 6 stuff, they're dressing in a way that makes everyone feel like they can become their most successful selves. There's a way that they are creating connection with a community that says we can all rise. And Taylor Swift, I think, does this really, really, really well. She has said that she's an Enneagram 3. I am inclined to believe her. I really wanted her to be a 4. I really thought that she might be a 2. But I do actually think that she's a 3. And plus, she has said that she's an Enneagram 3. 3s, Taylor Swift, I think does this brilliant thing that how she dresses is entirely about making her fans feel more connected to her, not the other way around. There's a sense like Taylor Swift does this thing with her style where it's not about necessarily being showy. Even if it is being very showy, it's like almost this way of being able to say, we're all best friends here, right? Case in point, her most recent, like she just went to the basketball game with several of her friends, and look at what they did together. They did this fun thing, and it made her feel like the way she dressed still felt elevated, still felt fun, still felt like a celebrity, but it also felt like she's just with us, right? She's the same here. And I think, I cannot remember for the life of me if this is Ellie Jean Royden who said this or Rita from the Style Key system. I want to say that it was Rita. If you guys know, please tell me. Let me know in the comments. But if she was talking about, one of them were talking about how Taylor Swift dresses in a way that makes it feel like she's just one of us, right? And it seems like she's doing it on purpose. And she dresses in ways that go along with her eras, right? Which again, make us feel like we're connected to her music, we're connected to her. And there's this almost, I want to say like this, we're linking arms here, you know, there somehow. And I think this is why she's also so successful, is that she makes you feel like she believes in you somehow. Like it's crazy. This is what I think Enneagram 3s can do really, really well, and even do it through style, where it's like the way in which they're dressing also makes everybody else feel like they can have success. How that actually happens, I'm not seeing like a clear way of being able to say, how do we do this? How would an Enneagram 3 like really incorporate this? If you are an Enneagram 3, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Because yeah, I think that's really cool. I'm very impressed by the concept of this. Okay. Enneagram 4s. Well, last of the bonding triad or center. So 4s take all of that energy of bonding, wanting to create connection and attention, and they point it inward. It's going inside. They are wanting to make meaning of the world's, the massive universe that is inside of them. They have big emotions, and one of the issues 4s can have is that they associate their whole identity with all of these huge emotions, which change all the time. This is why I said something about like how 4s can do something like identity skipping. So imagine a stone skipping over a lake, you know, like we're just hopping like to all of these different identities because we're trying to keep up with these emotions, these big emotions that we are attaching our identity to, but that's not necessarily the case. And this is one of the things that can be really helpful when 4s go to their security number of 1. So 1s, remember, proper, inward agency, right? Their agency is being pointed inward. They have a sense of knowing, I think, how to present themselves in the most impactful way to say, like, I'm competent and I'm proper and I know what I'm doing. Those are all very 1 things. And I just think that they are less affected by all of this massive amount of emotion, right? That 4s can have. And when 4s go to 1 space, especially in terms of style, because 1s are so good with creating systems and getting organized and being able to create structures, 4s going to 1 space, like we start to create some structure and systems for ourselves. We can say, okay, I think that one of the issues that 4s can have is that we attach authenticity to our big emotions, when in fact authenticity is something that we craft and create and decide, right? It's something we actually have agency over, whereas our feelings, those happen. Like, big feelings occur. That's the human experience. But our identity is not our emotions. And when we go to some of that one energy, we can start curating who we want to be based on our values and bring that into our style. So some of the traps fours can have when it comes to style is, like, how am I supposed to get dressed today? Because who I am at 10 a.m. is going to be totally different than who I am at 4 p.m., let alone like tomorrow. Who will I feel like I want to be? And going to one space can be like, I'm going to choose who I want to be and dress accordingly. And that's when we start being able to bring that uniqueness of who we are and craft it in a way that is in alignment with who we want to be, not just based on whatever we're feeling, right? So, okay. Is there anything else I want to say about that? If you're an Enneagram 4, let me know what you think. Because I'm speaking from personal experience here. Okay. Let's hop over to Enneagram 5. Oh, did I share an example of an Enneagram 4 that does this? I don't know. I didn't think of one before I started this. I guess I'm the example for today, for better and worse. Okay. Enneagram 5s. Enneagram 5s are driven to create a sense of, I don't even want to say this, safety for themselves by gathering data and information that makes them competent and therefore is able to give them the resources they need to be self-sufficient. I am having this question. If you're an Enneagram 5, let me know. Do you feel motivated to have competence for the sake of competence itself, or do you desire to have competence in order to have self-sufficiency? Or is it something else entirely? Let me know. But when they approach style, and thank you to all of the 5s who have given so many great comments about style, and yes, like dressing for efficiency, even minimalism, nothing getting in the way. All of that I think is like spot on. And also dressing to appear competent, I think would be important for 5s who think that style is important. I think that a 5 would have to first believe that that's actually something that's relevant. And if you are a 5 and you're here and you think it's relevant, kudos, because I think it is, right? It just has so much impact over how we get experienced and how we experience ourselves. I think it's incredible. But when 5s go to security, they take on some of the traits of Enneagram 8. So remember, 5s are in the head center. They gather lots of information. They think about that information, and there can be an issue of not implementing that information, doing what's necessary, or taking the steps because you haven't gained enough information. You don't know enough yet, right? So 5s who are into style, you may have gone into like the serious deep rabbit holes of of style systems. You know how it all works. You understand, bone structure and the essences, and yet it's still not quite enough information for you to implement it yet, right? There's still more that you could learn and know, which can be a trap, right? And when you go into and grab some of that 8 energy, 8s are in the body triad. They are thinking and doing simultaneously. They're like processing thoughts and creating the action plan and doing the action plan right away. It's happening. And 5s being able to take on some of that energy means that they can trust the data that they have gathered and then set that aside a little bit get in touch with their gut, their instinct, and say, how do I want to dress? How do I know how I want to dress without thinking that there's still more you need to learn? Because here's the other thing, action actually will bring you more data and more clarity, and you're not going to escape that. And eights know this. Eights are like they're pivoting in real time based on the information that's happening to them, that they're getting about like what's working, what's not working, and then they're still moving, right? And that's what fives can get from some of that eight energy, is like, okay, when I approach my closet, when I get ready and I want to have a style, I understand that these are my colors, and I understand that this is the silhouette that works best for me, and I understand that these are my 3 style roots. Okay, clock that, know that that's there. Now just get dressed and don't think about it and see what happens. Or it's like, yeah, just like let your instincts guide the way a bit, which again could feel like really, really strange at first, because that's what happens, right? Our narratives are our comfort zones, and we're here learning how to expand, right? Which is exciting. So if you're 5, let me know. Does that ping? What else would you add in terms of taking some of that 8 energy into your style? Thinking if there's anything else that I want to say here. Yeah, there could be like a little bit of what I was saying, like with 2s going to stress and taking on some of that like armored toughness, presence kind of thing to their style. 5s could probably gain a little bit of like getting some power here, right? And it's not forceful power. I think that when you get into your instincts, your gut, getting into your body, actually moving, implementing the knowledge you have, there will be a sense of power that comes with that. That's what 8s aren't trying to be powerful, right? They're just living in their instincts. And that has presence to it. Okay. Let's move on to Enneagram 6s. Again, I didn't have an example for 5s. That's okay. I don't have to have examples for all of these. If you're an Enneagram 5, let me know what you think about an Enneagram 5 person in real life or character who seems to have done this style glow up, if you will, by moving into some of their security number. Enneagram 6. Enneagram 6s are also in the thinking triad, the head triad, and they are the most likely, I think, to be prepared with their style. Like that's going to be a style priority. They will dress in order to be the most prepared for whatever they're going to be moving into, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. And when 6s go to security, they take on some of Enneagram 9 traits. So Enneagram 9, again, in the body triad, this is going to be getting in touch with your instincts and, trusting that you have in fact gathered more information than most people have about what to be prepared for. And then to get into your body and say, what makes me feel calm and in harmony with myself? What is going to allow me to breathe a little bit more deeply, right? 9s are, they are the calm makers. I mean, and we can see the pros and cons to that 9s. We see it. But for the higher side of taking on some of those qualities, it's being able to say, how can I be in touch with my own sense of being in alignment with my own harmony, my own sense of this is what feels comforting to me. This is what makes me feel like I can be safe as well. So and I say safe, and I probably am actually saying something more like cozy, nurtured, wrapped in a hug, right? Like I think 6s, 5s, and 4s. Is that right? We're the ones who go to 4, 5s, and 6s. We all go to a body center in security. Fun. Hi. We we're here to take on some of that agency, right? Some of those instincts of like being in touch with what we know to be true, right? What we can't even articulate with our mind or our feelings. It's just something more where we can trust ourselves. This might be a big thing for 4, 5s, and 9s when it comes to going into their security and gaining some agency over style, is being able to trust oneself a bit more versus over relying on either emotions for 4s, data for 5s, and 6s that need to be prepared. Like, see if you can let some of that go and just trust yourself. And I say that as if it's so simple. It's not. I think it is simple. It's just not easy. I guess that's the difference. And I think that, for 6s, when you approach your style, your closet, to be able to say, what's going to make me feel peaceful today? What's going to make me feel like I can be at peace in myself today? And see what style emerges, what kind of clothes pop out at you. I think that 9s are really good at like instinctually knowing how to dress in a way where it's like, it's put together and also comfortable. So yeah. Okay, let's move to 8s. 8s, oh no, 7s. Don't skip the 7s. So Enneagram 7s are motivated to not get stuck, right? They want to have opportunities available. They don't want to get stuck in anything, but definitely not the quote unquote more negative side of the emotional realm. Like it's something, the darker, sadder side of the emotions. And it's not that they can't go there, they just don't want to get stuck there, right? And sometimes those emotions can make you feel a little stuck, right? Although I'd be surprised. Do 7s ever feel like they get stuck in joy? Please let me know. I would love to know. Or does joy always feel like it's free? Like it gives you a sense of freedom? So 7s are, I think, one of the benefits that 7s have when they approach their style is that they let their sparks of interest guide the way, right? Like, this is interesting, this is fun, I love this, great, I'm gonna wear this. And I think that when 7s take on some of the traits of Enneagram 5, which is their security number, they can take a step back and say, okay, yes, this is all very fun. I really, really like this. But what's the data showing me on the impact it's having on my life, right? So I'm going to use a very silly example. Let's just say that an Enneagram 7 works in the corporate world, right? And in this particular corporate environment, a certain look is considered more professional. And the 7 shows up every day in something bright and colorful or interesting, like whatever, and it's different all of the time. And it also doesn't quite have that impact of what that specific environment is looking for. Now, there's one of two things. One, either that 7 shouldn't be in that job, or 2, when 7s can get into some of the 5 energy of gathering some data, just going, okay, what's happening here? What's working? What's not working? Why? Why isn't it not? Right? And then to be able to say, okay, it's not about dimming your light. Don't do that. That's bad. It's more about creating a structure, right, that allows your light to burn in the most effective way possible. Like a fire, if it's out in the elements and it doesn't have any structure around it to protect it, it's going to get blown out, right? You're not going to be able to shine as brightly as you want to, right? You might not get the same promotions, or you might not get the same respect, and unfortunately, like, I don't know if it's unfortunate or fortunate. Like, it's just human. Our style tells a story, right? And you want your story to be in your control, or at least you want to have the most agency over that as you can, I think. And so when you create a structure and you say, okay, in this particular environment, this is what's expected, right? This is all 5 data analyzing, and this is going to work best. Okay, great. I'm still going to wear these colors, but maybe I'm going to get it in this silhouette that works for this environment. And then therefore you get to have agency over the impact that you're having with your style. That's something I could see as being really helpful for Enneagram 7s, getting some of that 5 data analysis and really like slowing down a minute to go, okay, what's working? Is this actually the style I want to have? Or am I just letting myself like pick up anything that feels fun and good? So let me know what you think. If you're a 7, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if there's anything else you think that you get from Enneagram 5. Okay, now we will do Enneagram 8s. Ha ha ha. Enneagram 8s. So here's the thing. Enneagram 8s are the most intense number of all of the numbers. Their presence is felt when they walk into a room, and they're not trying to do that, but because they have like the most amount of sense of agency, I think that they just exist in the sense of I'm not to be messed with kind of energy. And because that's the narrative that they have online, they have a certain kind of presence that can be intimidating. And when Enneagram 8s go to their security number of 2, Enneagram 2, because so remember, Enneagram 2, they are really good, I think, at dressing in a way that makes them approachable or makes them approachable to the people they want to be approachable to. I do think that there should be a caveat there. But they have this way of being able to dress where they are a bit softer, a little bit more approachable. And 8s, I think, could really benefit from this sometimes. I'll give an example. Let's just share a story. I know somebody who has their own business and is an Enneagram 8. And it kept coming up to me like, why are my employees intimidated by me? Why does everybody seem scared of me? Why, essentially, why is everybody's nervous systems activated around me? I don't get it. I don't know what I'm doing. And it's just that 8's presence can be so intense that that's the impact they have, especially if they already are in a position of power. And so one of the things that this person did, I think I talked about this in another video, is that they now wear graphic t-shirts of like cartoons from their favorite TV shows, right? And it softens their whole vibe a ton. It makes them seem way more approachable. It makes them seem like, oh, I can talk to this guy, right? And so utilizing some of those things from Enneagram 2 is essentially bringing in some more innocence, bringing in some more approachability, being able to say, it doesn't mean you're letting go of any of your power, because I don't think that that's really actually an option. It's more about being able to have a softer impact so that you can more effectively move things along, right? It's more effectively connect with the people that are around you, if that's what you want to do, right? It can also be a way for you to get more connected to your own innocence, your own sense of like childlike wonder for yourself, bringing up some of those ooey gooey feelings. I know if you're an 8, you're like, oh, what are you talking about? But yes, like letting your inner child come out a little bit more. So, okay. Finally, Enneagram 9s. Enneagram 9s are all about creating inner harmony and outer harmony. And they are also in the body triad. There's an instinctual way that they move through the world. And when they are secure, they get some of the qualities of Enneagram 3. So out of all of like the numbers, I think the whole dress for your dream job works really well for 9s. So 9s, their wound is around their presence not mattering, that who they are, what they want is to be dimmed down so that you don't rock the boat, both inwardly and outwardly, right? With the people around you. And so there's this sense of like not letting your desires be a part of the equation outside of the desire for harmony, right? And then there's nothing wrong with wanting harmony, but you probably also want to achieve some stuff. letting yourself experience some success. Like, do you have a dream job? Do you have a dream achievement? What would it be like to dress for that? What is that outfit? And I want to share a quick story. So, and it's not the same, it's a metaphor. I was in an acting class, and in this acting class, I was meant to get angry. And I was, I guess, having a hard time expressing. I thought I was expressing it. My acting instructor was like, okay, I want you to just like let it go. Go to 10 anger. Like let us have it. I was like, okay. And so I did. And I was like, oh my God, that was insane. That was insane. I was so angry. It was ridiculous. And it was a virtual acting class. And so it was recorded. And so a couple days later, I get the recording and I'm like ready to see the insanity of me being this angry. And I pull it up and I'm waiting and I'm watching, and I barely look like I make it to a level 3 angry. I look more sad than angry for this take. And I'm bringing this up because, and this goes with all of the numbers, my reality, my internal story and narrative was that I was at a level 10 angry. When in fact, the reality was I looked and actually probably only let myself feel, because that's what was comfortable, a level 3 angry. And I think that 9s have this thing where if they let themselves live going after what they desire, that they're going to ruin everything. And what I think happens is, like, let's just do something really silly. You're an Enneagram 9 and your dream job is to be an art gallery owner. And you see this picture and it's this person who wears like a satin blouse and this cool blazer, right? I'm making it up. I have no idea if that's what it would be. And so you decide that for a day, you are going to wear a satin blouse and a blazer. And if one is not careful, one might think that everything that doesn't go totally right, you might attribute it to the fact that you had the audacity to wear something that rocked the boat. When in fact, everyone else probably isn't feeling that or associating it with your satin blouse and blazer. But this is why I think the Enneagram and astrology, these tools are so helpful, because what they do is they show us how we work, not necessarily what is reality. And that's important. Like for an Enneagram 4, my feelings aren't necessarily reality. They are a real experience I'm having because that's my normal narrative. And 9s who are afraid that they're going to be rocking the boat if they go after what they want to achieve, what they desire to have. If you're not careful, you may see anything that's like a ripple or a problem means that is happening because you're going after what you want. It's not necessarily true. It's just the truth that we're experiencing because of the story we're telling ourselves. And this is where we get agency over our own lives, is by being able to say, okay, I understand that this is what I'm experiencing. I'm still going to wear the silk blouse and blazer. I'm going to notice, let's get awareness of all of those feelings that come up for me, the stories I keep telling myself about it. And then as we continue to take steps in the direction of where we want to go, we will gain more and more agency. We will be able to change the narrative so that it allows for the life we want to live, which is being the main character of our own lives. So, thank you. If you watched all of this, you are brilliant. I am impressed. Let me know what resonated, what you would nuance, what you would add. All of the comments are absolutely brilliant. I am blown away by all of the interaction. You guys are wonderful. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, again, leave a comment, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye.